Exterior Chelsea embankment, evening. Moisture puts the city out of focus. The Jaguar speeds along the embankment. One headlight is functioning on the driver's side, one windscreen wiper on the passengers. The car turns into a crescent of imposing Victorian houses, pulls up and the pair of them get out. Withnail checks his soul before crossing the road. Marwood follows, straightening his trousers. Parked out opposite is a huge Sedanka Rolls, 1948 and immaculate. Withnail looks approvingly as they pass. This is Monty's car. Interior hallway Chelsea house, evening. A brass lion's head knocker goes into operation. Here's a sight, a wall of Mozart with Uncle Monty standing in front of it. He holds a cat in his right hand and a glass teapot filled with water in his left. He's delighted to see them. With a rococo sweep of the dangling cat, he ushers them in and the coats come off. Monty is large with a reptilian quality. His nose dominates the face and is the colour of port. Somehow his head has managed to grow around his glasses like trees grow around wire. In his lapel is a radish the same colour as his nose.
Sit down, do! Would you like a drink?
Marwood puts in for a gin and tonic and Withnail for a sherry. Withnail is obviously to be taken seriously. There's a trolley full of malt whisky here, so he is out to make a good impression. Paintings and tapestries decorate the walls. Marwood is somewhat uncomfortable in these surroundings. In complete contrast, Withnail is totally at ease. Apart from the magnificent furniture, the room is filled with vegetables. Cauliflowers and carrots are on every surface and valuable antique pots. A silver tray on the table sprouts a dozen fully grown onions. In the bay window is a fucking great cabbage. The size of an apodastra. Marwood is staring at his luxurious foliage when Uncle Monty pirouettes in with the drinks.
Do you like vegetables?
Marwood nods and Monty wafts dust from the leaves of a parsnip.
I've always been fond of root crops, but I only started to grow last summer.
Monty proffers glasses when Withnail moves in for a chin-chin.
I happen to think the cauliflower more beautiful than the rose.
He moves off at speed towards a turnip in an Art Nouveau pot.
Do you grow?
Geraniums.
News to Marwood. Monty swings towards him. Exchange of smiles.
You little traitors. I think the carrot infinitely more fascinating than the geranium. The carrot has mystery. Flowers are essentially tarts, prostitutes for the bees.
All this is said isolating Marwood. He returns in an easy smile. Monty evaporates into the kitchen with a giggle towards Withnail.
Help yourselves to another drink.
Withnail immediately leaps to his feet and downs several huge gulps of whiskey from the bottle, corks it and quickly refills his glass with more sherry. Marwood is whispering in concern.
What's all this? The man's mad.
Eccentric.
Eccentric? He's insane. Not only that, he's a raving homosexual.
They reseat at speed and attempt to look relaxed. The cat comes skidding out, followed by Monty with a purple face. He lumbers after it with veins throbbing.
Beastly little parasites! How dare you, you little thug! How dare you!
A degree of surprise from the assembled as Monty goes after the mog. It shelters behind a leak and he concedes to its agility. Wiping sweat from his brow, Monty calms and sits next to Marwood.
Beastly ungrateful little swine!
Shall I get you a drink, Monty?
A crimson silk handkerchief returns to Monty's breast pocket.
Yes, 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 please, dear boy. You can prepare me with a small rhesus negative Bloody Mary. And you must tell me all the news. I haven't seen you since you finished the last film.
And Marwood certainly hasn't seen the first either.
Rather busy, Uncle. TV and stuff. My agent's attempting to edge me towards Royal Shakespeare Company again.
Splendid.
And he's just an audition for rep.
Oh, splendid! You're a thespian too?
Marwood is not a little taken aback by the word thespian.
Monty used to act.
Oh, I'd hardly say that. It's true I cracked the boards in my youth, but I never really had it in my blood. And that's what's so essential, isn't it? Theatrical zeal in my veins, alas. I have little more than vintage wine and memories.
And one of them is on the crowded mantelpiece. A photograph of Monty in his youth, a sepia reminisce in a doublet and hose. He stands and almost clasps it, a dose of mothballs and Delphi.
It is the most shattering experience of a young man's life when one morning he awakes and quite reasonably says to himself, I will never play the Dane. And when that moment comes, one's ambition ceases. Don't you agree?
He turns back towards Marwood, his voice sonorous with emotion.
It's a part I intend to play, Uncle.
And you'd be marvellous, marvellous.
Monty is suddenly on the ramparts, whispering at the ghost he never saw, now located somewhere towards the ceiling of the apartment. Marwood has had enough of this, moves on Withnail with a whisper.
Let's get out of here. Come on. He's a madman. Any minute now he's going to rush out and get into his tights.
Okay, give me a minute.
The house or out.
Withnail is persuaded and approaches Monty, who turns dew-eyed.
I'm going to have a word with you, Monty.
Forgive me. I was allowing memory to have the better of me. Seeing you boys so young, so filled with the fire of the theatre, puts a sting of nostalgia in one's nose.
Withnail agrees and manoeuvres him to the sofa. Marwood wanders into the Mozart as Withnail hits the old bastard with a sherry. Too much music and too far away to hear what is said, but Withnail is in full-throated ease. Marwood examines a table infected with silver-framed photographs. One of a little boy sitting on the running board of a vintage Bentley. Monty is at the wheel. The little boy in the straw hat is clearly Withnail. Withnail is suddenly on his feet and heading for the drinks. He shoots a glance at Marwood, evidently pulled it off. The house is in the bag. Marwood is delighted and drifts back into the conversation.
Indeed, I remember my first agent, Raymond Duck. Dreadful little Israelite. 4 floors up on the Charing Cross Road and never a job at the top of them.
Withnail is pouring whiskey, confident he has landed his fish. Monty redirects eyes to a hovering Marwood.
I'm told you are a writer too.
Marwood can't find any reaction here, but a shrug and a smile.
Do you write poems?
No, I wish I could. Just thoughts, really.
Are you published?
Oh no.
Where did you school?
Withnail takes a sudden interest in the conversation and says,
He went to the other place, Monty.
Marwood doesn't know what the other place is. Monty does, and is leaning into a sentence beginning,
Oh, you went to Eton.
and something terrible happens. At this most crucial stage in the negotiations, the cat reappears. For reasons best known to itself, it throws itself at Withnail. Monty rears to his feet, driving the already dangerous levels of blood pressure into the capillaries of his swollen conch.
Get that damn little swine out of here! It's trying to get itself in with you, trying for ever more advantage. It's obsessed with its gut. It's like a bloody rugby ball now.
Swinging his arms wildly, he makes towards Withnail and his cat in a menacing stoop. Both manage to get out of his way. Snorting oaths, the uncle follows the animal to a corner where it snarls in horror. Monty swivels, seeking to cut off escape. Marwood and Withnail watch in amazement as pursuit continues. Monty lumbers through his tray of onions and the cat suddenly vanishes.
It will die! It will die!
Withnail takes his arm and manages to escort him to the sofa.
Let me get you a topper.
Ill-charted maps of the Orinoco Delta throb in Monty's temples.
No, dear boy, you must leave, you must leave. Yet again that oath has destroyed my day.
Everything is slipping away. Marwood doesn't seem to care anymore. Despite all work put in with this raving aberration, he is prepared to leave instantly. So it seems is Withnail. Then a thought and a change of gear.
Listen, Monty, could I have a quick word with you in private?
Monty looks at him, preparing to say no, but Withnail is earnest. Groaning, very well, he allows himself to be shunted towards a bedroom. Marwood has no idea what the plan is, but even so he isn't entirely happy with it. He stares after them till the door shuts. On the instant the cat reappears, displaying the stealth that secures its existence in such uncongenial lodgings. Marwood eyes it with vague animosity, but the thing is no longer of importance. Finishing his whiskey, he finds himself back at the windows. Night and light and mist on the river. Any more of this, and it's art.
How many more maniacs out there, nurturing their turnips, living in greenhouses with paranoid cats terrified by the sonnets of the bard? Possibly thousands. Those with the money are eccentric, those without insane.
The door suddenly opens, Monty out first, considerably mellowed and showing stabilisation of blood pressure. Withnail up next. Doesn't meet Marwood's eyes but walks straight into the hall for his coat. Marwood swaps a smile with Monty and they vanish into an entrance hall. Interior entrance hall, house, night. A huge red pepper plant and a bust of a boy. Marwood is glad to be out, but vaguely ill at ease.
What's all this going off in private business?
Withnail answers with an enigmatic and annoying smile.
Why did you tell him I went to Eton?
Because it wouldn't have helped if I hadn't. He was just trying to establish you in some sort of context he'd understand.
What do you mean by that?
The elevator arrives and Withnail leads the way in. A smug smile on his kiss out and a large iron key dangles from his finger.
I mean, free to those who can afford it. Very expensive to those who can't.
Very good. Let's take a break.
Well done. Well done. Interior service pit, garage, day. A greasy little backstreet dungeon. The Jaguar is shoulder highs on a hydraulic jack. Withnail and Marwood watch while a weaselish mechanic pokes beneath it with a naked 100-watt bulb in a little wire cage. Doesn't like the look of what he sees. Stubbing his butt, he emerges to address Marwood.
Bob or two, we've a charge of 40 quid.
40 quid? If we had 40 quid, we'd buy a better car.
This thing's unroadworthy. I've seen better tyres hanging off the side of a tug.
Nonsense. It's in first class condition. Right, get it down, we'll service it ourselves.
Exterior, garage, forecourt, day. And the shop cranes down, music and a bit of drizzle about. The drag rumbles in and they dismount. Withnail opens the boot, shouting mechanical instructions at Marwood.
Right, you service the water and I'll service the tyres. Then you can service the battery and then we'll go home and get under the sink.
An air hose and a watering can, a free service and a slow dissolve, which the music survives. Interior kitchen apartment, day. Withnail is arse out on his knees in the cupboard under the sink. A forest of bottles surrounds him, regiments of Guinness and Bass. Marwood is computing their value with a pad and pencil. The last bottle comes out and Withnail stands and prepares for the total.
I make it a tenner and 4 quid.
All right, let's work this out. £3.19 and 6, plus £13, 3 and 9 national assistance, plus your 32 quid, 3 and 4, that makes £50, 6 and 7.
Does it?
I've just said so, haven't I? Right, at 8 and 11 a bottle, that means we'll have 96 bottles of Greek hock.
96 bottles of Greek hock? You're out of your fucking mind.
Withnail starts loading the empties. Marwood counts the money.
I'm not suggesting we spend the entire amount on Greek hock. We'll have 9 2.5 litres of I-Thai red and 3 dozen barley wines.
How much is that?
Interior off license, day. A horrible pinstripe suit, dandruff. This is their wine broker, and they're broke. And this is his wine. And Withnail's pissed.
£15.12 and a penny.
Good, we'll have a bottle of Hague.
The broker goes about it. Marwood is happy with the last item.
Don't be an idiot, we can't afford it.
The whiskey joins the wine. The broker observes without comment.
You've had petrol, I want whiskey.
I've had petrol, we both had petrol.
You've had oil.
Of course, I've had oil, it's 400 miles.
I'm not sitting in that wreck all night without whiskey. It's essential.
He moves to the bottle, arm on the same plane as the wrecking ball.
I wish that was in the film.
So
That makes it
right.
even more
So
maniacal. Jeez Louise.
And it sets up the drive.
Yeah, of course it does, yeah. Because you always
It's
think
time
how,
constraints
how,
though, isn't it? It's time.
how like run down is that Jag? Yes.
Exterior demolition side street, Camden Town Day. Mr. Hendricks plays Mr. Dillon's all along the watchtower. This music will choreograph the journey north. The music starts here, violence on electric guitar, violence in the street. That fucking great demolition ball is in action. Puts one into the belly of a wall that collapses like a drunk.
Brilliant.
Much rubble and dust. As it draws back for another blow, the camera moves with it and keeps moving on to the Jag. Withnail already inside with his bottle of whiskey. Marwood gets into the driving seat. He wears clip-on shades on his glasses. He starts the car and glances across at the sight. With one finger he flicks the shades down. The car disappears under the bridge.
He nearly stalls it as well.
Yeah, it does.
Exterior street suburbs, London, day. The music heads north with a Jaguar through the wastelands of Finchley and Hendon. A scrag land and TV aerials and faces in corporate shock. Miles and miles of recently constructed high-rise slums, each with its architecturally designed and resonant vandalised trees. A roar from the twin punctured exhaust. They pass a line of schoolgirls at a bus stop, Withnail hanging from his window. Scrubbers! Scrubbers!
I'm yours, Granddad!
Interior Jag sedan, day. Withnail clasps the Hague. Now you know obviously where it came from. Laughing out and pissed as a gorilla.
Shut up!
Little tarts, they love it.
Listen to me, I'm trying to drive this thing as quietly as possible. If you don't shut up, we're going to get stopped by the police. Give me the bottle.
Marwood grabs the whiskey, takes a hit. Withnail grabs it back. Another guzzle at the bottle and another exterior attraction. They pass a sign. Accident black spot. Drive with extreme care. London Borough of Finchley.
Look at that. Look at that. Accident black spot. These aren't accidents. They're throwing themselves into the road gladly. Throwing themselves into the road to escape all this hideousness.
A yob on a corner. The window goes down again. Withnail screams.
Throw yourselves into the road, darling. You haven't got a chance.
The car vanishes into a perspective of street and exhaust fumes. Exterior M1 motorway entrance ramp, day. The Jag is giving its 90. Brutal rust on a traffic-free road. Exterior M1 motorway, evening. Factories and power stations and morbid industrial complexes. The land is in ruins and so is the sky. Great greasy clouds are piling on the horizon. It'll be dark in less than an hour.
Brilliant.
At some time or another, I want to stop and get hold of a child.
What do you want a child for?
To tutor it in the ways of righteousness and procure some uncontaminated urine.
Interior Jaguar sedan, evening. Withnail is unravelling plastic hose from the hot water bottle, trying to work out where the strings and straps should be. Gets the bottle under an armpit and starts waving some sort of valve.
This is a device enabling the drunken driver to operate in absolute safety. You fill it with piss, take this pipe down the trouser and sellotape this valve to the end of the old chap. Then you get horribly drunk and they can't fucking touch you.
Marwood glances across. An instruction sheet takes an unfolding.
According to these instructions, you refuse everything but a urine sample. You undo your valve, give them a dose of unadulterated child's piss, and they have to give you your keys back.
Withnail takes another large slug of whiskey, so does Marwood.
Danny's a genius. I'm going to have a doze.
Exterior M1 motorway, evening. Bridges and other roadside bollocks. The Jaguar thunders past. Exterior motorway intersection, deep evening. A scraping of daylight left. Headlight on the Jag swings off the motorway onto a minor road. Going to piss down any minute now. Exterior country road, valley, deeper evening. The Jaguar hits the rain. Hardly a decrease in speed. Black and ominous looking hills. Balls of black cloud rolling into a valley. The car descends with them. The brake lights come on and the music ends. Exterior country road, night. Marwood pulls over and climbs out. One hell of a gale is blowing. He gets to the passenger side of the car, starts wrenching at the still moving wiper blade. Withnail's face is periodically visible, erect in his seat and asleep with his jaw wide open. Marwood fails to relocate the wiper blade. Soaking wet and furious, he staggers back to his door, slams it with nothing achieved. Interior Jaguar sedan, night. The force of Marwood's entry wakes his co-pilot and navigator. Nothing but the beat of the windscreen wiper.
Are we there?
No, we're not. We're here. And we're in the middle of a fucking gale.
He starts the engine and pulls out, snaps instructions at Withnail.
You'll have to keep a lookout your side. If you see anything, tell me. And get a hold of that map.
Withnail emits an accelerating groan. Something to do with a headache. He looks across, eyes like a pair of decayed clams.
Oh.
Where's the whiskey?
What for?
I got a bastard behind the eyes. I can't take aspirins without a drink.
The bottle is discovered, the cork popped, and back to Marwood.
Where's the aspirins?
Probably in the bathroom.
You think we've come out here in the middle of fucking nowhere without aspirins?
It appears to be the case. Withnail's becoming emotional.
Where are we?
How should I know where we are? I feel like a pig has shat in my head.
Get hold of that map and look for a place called Crow Crag.
I can't. I've gone blind. My bladder's exploding. I've got to have a slash.
You can't have one.
Marwood is nearly in Withnail's lap trying to see some road.
What do you mean I can't have one? I've got to have one. Stop this bastard and let me out.
No, look at the map. Find a biro cross.
Withnail grabs it, practically destroys it, approaches a shout.
We're about a yard from London. And we're up a hill. Now, for Christ's sake, stop this crate and let me out.
Exterior, country road, night. The night is overpoweringly black. Towards the end of his monumentally long piss, Withnail turns to Marwood.
I think this all is a mistake. A serious and soon-to-be regretted mistake.
Exterior, countryside, night. The jag winds up a maze of stone walls. The jag passes a concealed entrance, backs up to reveal a sign saying Crow Crag Farm. Take this turning. The car passes through Crow Crag Farm and continues. The Jagger bumps down a rutted track in deep night. Withnail's point of view, interior car. Windscreen wiper battling the rain. A house comes into view. Above the car, as its single headlight sweeps, a bleak-looking cottage. At a glance picturesque. Mud conspires to prevent Marwood's sharp right-angle turn to the yard. The car slides into the gate. A crank of a handbrake and they get out.
There must and shall be aspirin.
Marwood levers a pair of suitcases and grocery bags from the car. Violent rain sweeps through the single headlight. Withnail hangs over the partially open gate like laundry.
If I don't get aspirin, I shall die here on this fucking mountainside.
Staggers, groaning to the front and gets pushed aside.
Give me the key and get out of the way.
Interior cottage, night. The door opens, revealing a smudge of headlight from outside. Marwood strikes a match and Withnail whispers.
Christ almighty.
In the instant before the match goes out, they see crumbling walls and stale shadows and giant atlases of damp on the floor. They also see an oil lamp. The match goes out. Another one is lit. A yellow glow and the lamp reveals all. Table with several chairs. Old but not antique. A photograph of a football team, all with moustaches and shorts down to their knees. Oxford 1926. Is one of them Monty?
Doubt it.
2 armchairs and a chaise longue with stuffing hanging out. A grate. Marwood journeys into an adjoining room, checks stairs and turns back to a sink with a rusty pump. He drags the lever down. A rheumatic whine. No water. The wind howls like wolves. He moves back into the kitchen, discovers Withnail sitting in a chair.
What are you doing?
A pair of shocked and horn-rimmed eyes focus in his direction.
Sitting down to enjoy my holiday.
Blasts of icy intensity rocket down the chimney. Withnail could be standing on a cliff. Marwood checks out a huge range and turns back to Withnail, forcing the optimism.
Alright, we're going to have to approach this scientifically. First thing is to get the firelight, then we'll split into 2 fact-finding groups. I'll do all the water and other plumbings. You can check the fuel and wood situation.
Interior living room, cottage, night. With an abundance of acrid smoke, a minute fire smoulders in the grate. Marwood dumps blankets and goes for the pump, cranks violently. A dozen strokes and a flood of khaki water erupts. Euphoria. Withnail barges through the front door in time to observe this phenomenon. Wet and gale blasted and carrying a twig.
What's that?
The fuel and wood situation. Fuck all that there except a hurricane.
The fuel and wood situation gets thrown on the fire. 1 or 2 burnt out logs in the grate. Marwood puts them on and joins Withnail in the opposite chair. They stare into the fire. At every change of the wind they are engulfed in smoke.
This place is uninhabitable.
Give it a chance, it's got to warm up.
Warm up? You might as well sit round a cigarette.
Marwood takes a large slug of whiskey, hands the bottle across. Withnail practically finishes it, lights a cigarette and starts coughing as he's temporarily obscured by another dose of smoke.
This is ridiculous. We'll be found dead in here next spring. I've got a blinding fucking headache. I must have heat.
So saying, he rises to his pins and demolishes the nearest chair. Flames suddenly appear. Withnail assaults another and the room shifts through a speedy dissolve. Interior, another angle. Living room, cottage, night. The room is filled with smoke. Only cigarette ends are visible. Both squat in their overcoats in front of a cold fire. Withnail slings another chair leg on.
Whatever happens, we've got to keep this bastard burning.
There's a door banging outside. The wind is devouring the house.
We've got enough furniture for tonight. We'll get down that farm tomorrow and get logs.
All this is a mistake, I tell you. This is a dreadful mistake.
Interior bedroom, cottage, day. Marwood wears his overcoat like a dressing gown, boots like slippers. Wind still hammers the house. He looks out of his window. The rain has stopped. Little view except the side of a shed. Grabbing his clothes, he shambles into Withnail's room. Its occupant is heaped under blankets, an overcoat, and asleep. Decides not to wake him and quietly closes the door and heads downstairs. Interior hall, boudoir, cottage, day. A tub full of walking sticks at the bottom of the stairs, plus a hat rack featuring a couple of country-type caps and a fencing mask. Marwood notices a PA in the tub. He's about to walk out of the door when he decides to explore a room he missed last night. Opens the door onto a Victorian-looking room. A 1930s record player with a stack of records. Dismal, early grey Georgian furniture. Most of the chairs and paintings are decorated with dribbles of bird shit. He notices a dead down the chimney crow before shutting the door and walking across the little outside yard. Exterior courtyard, cottage, day. Marwood opens a wood gate and walks down a short entrance of brick, fumbles for his glasses and put them on. And here it is. Here is a 15-mile-long picture postcard. Bleak but beautiful. A lake stretches away to the left, furnished with pines. Optimism cuts in as he heads back to the house. Exterior track, hillside over farm, day. Marwood is fully dressed and filled with slow puncture and enthusiasm. He carries a walking stick and wears a cheese-cutter cap. But the country image doesn't last long. It dissolves with every step. Midway between the cottage and the farmhouse, his boots are saturated. Cows turn to see him pass. He comes to a halt at a gate. Shut this gate. A few yards past it and he sees why. 20 feet in front of him is a big bull with horns on his head. Neither of them like the look of the other, and Marwood climbs a wall. A normal path. This is virtually wading. At a safe distance he climbs the wall, continues towards the farmhouse. The wind practically takes his glasses off. Angry black clouds massive. Exterior cracked farmhouse, day. A large and mysterious looking building constructed out of local stone. Curtains drawn and looks deserted. Marwood comes in over a fence and walks towards it. Clears the mud from his boots. An imposing front door. It takes a knockering. No response, and another knock. Sounds of footsteps over stone.
Who's there?
Me?
The door opens. Here's an old bird in an apron and hobnail boots.
What you want?
Marwood stares at her. She stares back. She's horrible and 70 and suspicious. Is this the crow that made the farm famous?
I'm a friend of Montague Withnail. He's lent us his cottage.
She freezes a hard "so what?" Marwood tries to smile at her. Fails.
I wondered if you could sell us some food. Eggs and things.
No, we ain't a shop.
What about wood and coal?
No.
Maybe it's his accent she doesn't like.
That's what she says.
He tries another attack.
I'm not from London, you know.
I don't care where you're from.
Marwood gets a face full of door. He stares at her a moment, turns away, walks 15 feet backwards and looks at penned sheep. Looks at the house.
Not the attitude I've been given to expect from the H.E. Bates novel I'd read. I thought they'd all be out the back drinking cider and discussing butter. Clearly a myth.
He decides to have another go. Back to the door. Another knock. It starts to rain.
Evidently country people are no more receptive to strangers than city dwellers.
The footsteps return. This time she declines to open up.
Do you think you could tell me where I could buy some coal and wood?
You'll have to see my son. He runs this farm.
Where is your son?
Up in top fields. You can't miss him. His leg's bound in polythene.
Exterior hill over house, stream, courtyard, day. Marwood comes over the hill. Obviously slipped in shit more times than I care to detail. Angry and soaked to the skin, he pounds into the courtyard and disappears into the house. Interior kitchen cottage, day. Rain beats the window. Marwood beats the ceiling with a saucepan.
Wake up, you bastard! You've got to get wood!
He works the pump, washes himself with spurts of icy water, finds time to continue bashing the ceiling with his pan.
Wake up, you bastard!
A gale blows through the house. Without a fire, the chimney is like having a hole in the roof. Withnail shuffles in wearing his overcoat, catching a hostile glare as Marwood heads for the hearth and sits to wrench his boots off.
Jesus, you're covered in shit.
I tried to get fuel and wood. There's a miserable little pensioner down there. She wouldn't give it to me.
Where are we going to get it then?
There's a man up in the mountain. Why he's there, fuck knows. But he's up there with a leg bound in polythene. You can't miss him, he's the man.
Marwood succeeds in removing his boots, takes a slug of whiskey.
Have another look in that shed. Find anything. And if you can't find anything, bring in the shed.
Interior living room cottage day. Another dining chair has gone in. The room is again filled with smoke. They sit on either side of the fire eating breakfast and suitable food under the circumstances. Plastic carrier bags produce an apple, a camembert, whiskey and wine. Marwood cuts an apple in half and offers it to Withnail. He refuses and lights a cigarette.
How come Monty owns such a horrible little shack?
I've no idea.
And he stands and starts pacing and the wind howls outside.
Never discuss your family, do you?
I fail to see my family as of any interest to you. I've absolutely no interest in yours. I dislike relatives in general, on my own in particular.
Why?
Withnail discovers an epee in the seat and stick bin and fences the air.
Because I've told you why. We're incompatible. They don't like me being on stage.
Then they must be delighted with your career.
What do you mean?
You rarely are.
Marwood's cynicism inspires Shakespearean activity with the epee.
You just wait. Just you wait. When I strike, they won't know what's hidden.
A very low rumble a long way away. They hear it simultaneously and it takes Withnail to the door of the tractor approaching. Marwood instantly animates, begins shoving feet into his boots.
Get after him. That must be the man.
Exterior cottage gardens track day. Withnail is attempting to cross a potato patch without damaging his boots, bellowing,
Get out of the way!
Marwood barges past. The wind takes their breath and voices away. Withnail mounts the wall and stands on top of it, waving like a Nancy sailor. This has zero effect on the tractor. It's passing at speed about 40 yards away. Abandoning all regard for personal well-being, Marwood clambers the wall and races through the mud, waving his arms like a maniac. Finally manages to attract the driver's attention. He stops and they descend on him. A face looks out of the cab, registers alarm at the fury of these idiots' approach. Withnail grabs at a mudguard as if to stop the tractor getting away. Shouts up at the staring farmer.
Are you the farmer?
There is a reticence in Isaac's Parkin to speak with these two.
Shut up, I'll deal with this.
Marwood takes control and Isaac's Parkin shuts his engine down.
We've got on... sorry, mate.
We've gone on holiday by mistake. We're in this cottage here.
Isaac Parkin looks down at this shit-streaked wreck in surprise.
Are you the farmer?
Stop saying that, Withnail. Of course he's the fucking farmer.
The farmer can't hear, opens his door, a leg bound in polythene, also a plasticast. The polythene is evidently to keep out damp.
We're friends of Montague Withnail. We desperately need fuel and wood.
An exchange of eyes. Parkin stares, repeats.
Montague Withnail.
For a week. Exactly. I guess that, Montague Withnail.
Yeah.
And that's your line, I think, Jamie.
Yeah. Montague Withnail. You must know him. He's a fat man. Owns a cottage. Yes.
I seen a fat man. London type. Queer sort. But his name's French or summit.
French.
Adrien de la Touche. But he ain't been here for a couple of years. Last time I seen him, he was with his son.
Even under these circumstances, Marwood finds a sort of a smile.
That's it.
Listen, we're bona fide. We're not from London. Can we have some fuel and wood?
Aye, I could bring you up some logs up later. I gotta feed the cows and that first.
When?
Shut up. That would be very nice of you. What about food? Do you think you could sell us something to eat?
Aye, I could bring you a chicken, but you have to go in the village really.
That would be very kind of you.
Parkin swings his stiffened leg inside and starts the engine.
What happened to your leg?
I got a randy bull down there. Give us one in the knee.
He guns the engine and vanishes down the track. Smiles emerge. They head back to the cottage with a sense of achievement. It's going to get better. And Al Bowley is already beginning to play.
Hang on. Al Bowley is here.
Oh, yes. You got a randy bullet there.
Interior living room cottage day. A wreck will continue to scrape, but things are looking up in here. Logs are coming, and they have made free with the furniture. Withnail's almost whistling as he goes about his duties at the grate. He's embedded some sort of draft deflector out of a sheet of iron. It is moderately successful in directing smoke up the chimney. He opens the oven door and shoves his boots in, closes the door as Marwood appears from the kitchen. The latter removes a cauldron of boiling water from the fire.
You want to get out the back, don't you? Get some spuds up?
Withnail doesn't like the idea of a perfect excuse.
Sorry, I can't. My boots are in the oven.
You'd go if you had boots?
Gladly.
Marwood stands and walks into the kitchen, reappears instantly. Withnail looks suspiciously at a pair of plastic carrier bags.
We can tie 'em up with string.
Exterior garden cottage day. Withnail emerges from the front door wearing his overcoat and a pair of carrier bags. He claps the carving fork and heads for the potato patch. Marwood stands at the door, shouts directions concerning the location of the potato. The fork goes in and a fibrous little marble comes out. Yes, that's yours.
Got one.
Exterior courtyard cottage night. The camera stares in the window. Withnail asleep in front of the fire. Marwood at the table writing in his notebook in the light of an oil lamp. Several large peeled potatoes on the table. He looks up to think but gets interrupted by the sound of a tractor. Stands and heads for the door. The camera pulls back as the tractor rumbles in. The rain has stopped, but it's still blowing up rotten from the lake. Parkin dumps logs and Marwood walks round to his cab. He smiles up to the farmer offering thanks. How much do I owe?
You can pay us when you come down.
What about the chicken?
He's on the back, in the sack.
Interior living room, cottage, evening. Marwood shakes Withnail into consciousness, directs his attention toward a sack on the floor.
Parkin's bin. There's the supper.
The bag starts to move. Without getting into the mechanics, the chicken finds a way out.
What are you supposed to do with that?
Eat it.
Eat it? Fucker's alive.
I know that. You've got to kill it.
Me, I'm the firelighter and fuel collector.
I know that, but I got the logs in.
Chicken starts to walk.
Follow it!
It takes away your appetite looking at it.
No, it doesn't. I'm starving. How can we make it die?
You have to throttle them.
Suddenly leaps into the air and momently drives them off.
I think you should strangle it instantly in case it starts trying to make friends with us.
All right, get hold of it. You hold it down and I'll strangle it.
I couldn't. It's got dreadful beady eyes. It's staring me out.
It's a fucking chicken. Just think of it as bacon across its back.
Withnail's volume propels the chicken into the kitchen. He follows it, pausing at the kitchen door.
All right, I'll deal with this. But you'll have to get its guts out.
Interior kitchen cottage at night. Firelight in the living room and a candlelight in here. Marwood has finished preparations. A muzzle of a shotgun prods at the back of his head. He turns and knocks the double barrel aside.
Never point guns at people. It's extremely dangerous. Where'd you get it?
Cupboard.
Well, put it back. What about this roasting dish?
Withnail shakes his head and turns on the chicken with his gun. The barrels poke at it. It's still in possession of its feet and a considerable amount of feathers.
What are we going to cook it in?
You're the food and plumbing's man. I've no idea. I wish I'd found this an hour ago. I'd have taken great pleasure in gunning this pullet down.
The gun is lowered and Withnail applies himself to the chicken.
Shouldn't it be more bold than that?
No, it shouldn't. Alright, we're going to have to reverse the roles. We'll bake the potatoes in the oven and boil this bastard over the fire.
A large iron kettle. They attempt to stuff it in, head first. Won't go. Marwood reverses it, arse next. Won't go. Withnail punches it, but this pullet is not going to go in this kettle.
Let's get its feet off.
Marwood shakes his head and walks purposefully toward the oven.
No, it's going to need its feet.
He opens the door, instructs Withnail to remove his boots. They come out steaming on the end of a poker. Marwood replaces them with a brick, positioned side on at the bottom of the oven.
It can stand with its legs either side of that.
Marwood mounts it upright, looking out toward the door. Withnail bastes his hands as another door is slammed in the chicken's face. Exterior countryside day. About as much countryside as a super Panavision lens is capable of handling. The lake and the sky and the mountains look anemic. This is a huge panorama. Somewhere in the middle of it is a tiny telephone booth.
No.
Ready?
I've already put 2 shillings in. No, I haven't got another. It's not my fault the system doesn't work.
Exterior telephone booth, country road, lakeside day. Withnail shoves his head out like Marwood's several days' beard.
Bitch hung up on me.
A search for more change begins. Withnail has none, but Marwood has a single 2 shilling piece. Reluctantly offers it to Withnail.
I'll phone tomorrow. I don't want to call anyway.
Marwood squeezes into the booth to escape the icy wind. Redialing takes effect and Withnail is connected surprisingly quickly.
Don't want to hear, I haven't got it.
A combination of bad line and emotion causes Withnail to shout.
Hello? How are you? Very well. What? They wouldn't see me? Oh, this is ridiculous. I haven't been for a job in 3 months. Understudy Constantine? I'm not going to understudy Constantine. Why can't I play the part? Oh, this is ridiculous. No, I'm not in London. Penrith. Penrith! Well, what about TV? Listen, I pay you 10% to do that. What? Well, lick 10% of the asses for me then. Hello? 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 How dare you? Fuck you!
He bashes the receiver down and follows Marwood out to the box.
Bastard asked me to understudy Constantine and so he gone.
They start walking up the road. Marwood clutches a grocery bag.
I'm not going to understudy anybody, especially that little pimp. Anyway, I loathe those Russian plays. Always whining about women staring out of windows, whining about ducks going to Moscow.
Exterior track, mountainside day, sodden fields. The mountains seem to have an inexhaustible supply of liquids. The relative agents has depressed them both. They proceed carefully to avoid puncturing bags.
What do you think of Desmond Wolfe?
In respect of what?
I'm thinking of changing my name.
It's too like Donald Wolfett.
Pausing for breath, Marwood stops, thrusts the groceries across.
Change over point.
Withnail looks up at the tractor standing from the top fields.
Do you think he's happier than us?
No.
He opens the gate and Withnail follows through. They continue walking, absorbed in their own thoughts. The tractor is about 100 yards away. It stops suddenly and Isaac Parkin sticks his head out. For some reason he waves frantically and they wave back.
I suppose happiness is relative.
Isaac Parkin is back in his tractor, gunning the engine and racing towards them in a haze of mud, still waving frantically.
But I never thought it would be a polythene bag without a hole in it.
Marwood isn't listening. Watches Isaac Parkin driving like a maniac.
What's the matter with him?
Marwood suddenly swings around, wide-eyed. The question is answered.
You didn't shut the gate.
The farmer is driving dangerously, head stuck out and screaming.
Shut that gate! Shut that gate!
But it's too late. They stand paralysed in their bags, watching as the bull charges up the field and crashes through the opening.
Stop that bull! Stop that bull!
Thrusting the groceries across Withnail, runs for it and literally dives over the nearest wall. Isaac Parkin leaps from his tractor and poles around the field like Long John Silver.
Stop that bull! Stop that bull!
5 yards separate and the bull stops. Marwood freezes. Withnail's head comes back over the wall.
Grab its ring!
Marwood holds the groceries out in front of him as though offering some sort of sacrifice. A flimsy barrier between himself and £4,000 of angry hamburger waiting to take revenge.
Keep your bag up! Out-vibe it! Oh, know that.
With a terrified sneer, Marwood stares into its bloodshot eyes, breath like a Ferrari revving up, exhaust from either nostril.
It wants to get up there and fuck those cows.
Isaac Parkin arrives but can't get over the wall because of his stiffened leg. Marwood is in the pig in the middle, Withnail looking over the wall, the farmer looking over the wall opposite.
Show no fear!
The bull starts hoofing actions in the mud. Marwood stares in terror. This is quite possibly an advertisement preceding the charge.
Show no fear, just run at it!
That can't be sensible, can it? The bastard's about to run at me.
He's Randy.
Yes, I know he is.
He wants to have sex with those cows.
Shut up, Withnail.
Run at it shouting!
Do as he says. Start shouting.
Seems like the shouting is imminent anyway. Also the running. The only concern troubling Marwood is the direction the running is advised. On the edge of vision he sees Withnail light a cigarette.
It won't gore you.
Marwood's voice sounds like Richard III at some sort of climax.
A coward you are, Withnail. An expert on bulls you are not.
This statement is delivered with a considerable emotion. Violence towards Withnail drives Marwood toward the bull. Vegetables fly as he sends in his carrier bag, shouting at the top of his voice. The bull is astonished by what's coming at him, apparently even less prepared to get charged than himself. He turns instantly and hot hoofs it back through the opening. Parkin hobbles at speed and closes the gate behind him. As soon as he's convinced the danger is over, Withnail clambers back over the wall.
Yeah, of course he does.
Marwood is trembling and in a state of shock. He picks up stray vegetables from the mud. Parkin shouts,
Sorry, keep the cage.
Oh, keep this gate shut.
and legs off as though he has just finished the shit crop allocation in time for tea.
I think an evening at the Crow.
Marwood grabs a turnip. The experience has frozen his senses.
An evening at the Crow, I could have been killed.
Nah, Parkins knew what he was doing.
Sure he did, an absolute fucking authority. That's why he couldn't get over the wall.
Don't want to overdo it, do you?
Broke daylight in the image of dissolving as they head up the hill.
We're in the countryside. Things like this are perfectly normal.
Should we have another break there?
Yes.